Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Cure for the Common Game again. I have spent more time talking about Kumano than I ever have any other deck. What y'all don't know is that this is the sixth time recording it. I have had to replace my entire computer. I bought a new one. Needless to say, I will probably skipping Ultimate Masters now. But anyway, we're here to talk about Kumano, deck number 364. He is, by the way, this is a huge monitor now. God. This is even for like old blind guys can see this. Yeah. He's a 5 mana 4/4 and a colorless and a red to deal 1 damage to a target creature or player. We can't heal walkers, but you know what? Oh well. I don't know. It might. I don't know why I didn't think of that the other 5 times I did this. But anyway, creature or a player, if a creature dies that he dealt damage to, it gets exiled. So naturally, the very first place my mind went was Basilisk Collar. But I didn't have a Basilisk Collar, so I got a Gorgon's Flail. We're going to give that Joker Death Touch. Now we've got 2 mana exile target creature. Because we're dealing 1 damage to it, and it's obviously going to die because we have Death Touch, and then it gets exiled. So the Gorgon's Flail gives it Death Touch, and weirdly enough, so does the Gorgon's Head. Maybe the Gorgon's Eyes will be next. I don't know. But now, that just kills the creatures. So all the creatures are gone. So now, at some point in time, we've got to win the game. We've got to kill players. So we're going to give Kumano Infect. Give it +2/+2 and Infect. So now we have 2 mana. Well, we have 20 mana eliminate a player. So a colorless and a red to deal 1 point of damage. Of course, they get a poison if you hit the player. Now, Heartstone. Heartstone is going to bring that cost down to just a single red. So now we're at a red per damage. Obviously, we're playing a lot of basic mountains. And this is 10 mana wins with the Infect. Huh. So we're going to need a ton of mana. So the first place I went was the spell mana. Pyretic Ritual, Seething Song, and our good buddy Mana Geyser. Now, y'all know Mana Geyser. There's a good chance if you've got the Infect thing, Mana Geyser literally wins you the game. It is nothing to get 20 mana out of the spell. But we've also got other forms of mana. Mana Flare and Cage Sun kind of act like a secondary copy of the Heartstone because it doubles up your mana, and gosh, if you get them both, you're just living the dream. But then we've got Artifact mana. Of course, we've got our Soul Ring into the Fire Diamond. I didn't use the Medallion because there's more artifacts in here than there's red cards, so, Sisay's Ring, Star Compass. I tried to focus a lot on things that actually gave us specific red mana. And that does come at somewhat of a premium. Sad to say. Played Mirror. Yeah, it's a colorless, but you know what? In a pinch, it's got Infect. Opaline Unicorn gives a specific red. Meteorite gives a specific red. And it may, nuke something on the way in. This screen is so bright, I'm getting a glare off of the screen. Glare at the bottom there. I may have to redo my whole setup here because this thing, I think this screen is putting out more light than the light is. Anyway, this is my first video with the new PC. I hope it turns out good. We have the Mind Stone and the Dream Stone to draw some cards if we don't need the mana. There's a good chance we're going to need the mana. Now, Seer's Lantern is not in there for the colorless. Yes, that helps, but we're playing mono red. That being said, there's certain concessions that you make with mono red, and you don't have as good of card draw as some of the other colors. So the Scry is a real thing there, just like the Investigate is. Now, the Unstable Obelisk is a mana rock. See, I tried to use mana rocks that had other abilities. It's also removal. Pharisian Totem can be a decent blocker when you need it to be. And of course, Blink Moth Urn is just going to give you a jump start on your turn because you've got so much colorless mana. Now, Whisper Silk Cloak and Darksteel Plate are going to protect Kumano. So now let's look and see what else we got in the deck. Creature-wise, the Shivan Hellkite, I can't stand it. I can't stand the glare. Can we get above it and go down? No. Is it? Let's see if we can move. That's somewhat better. It's got the same ability as Kumano, albeit not like, exiling creatures, but still 2 mana to ping. So all of the equipment and stuff that works with Kumano also works with the Hellkite. Only, this time we've got a 5/5 flying body. Now the Hellkite Igniter is amazing simply because all the artifacts we've got and the Heartstone's going to reduce this to a red. It's not just a red for a +1, it's a red for a plus number of artifacts. Soulscar Mage is going to let Kumano and the Hellkite kill indestructible things. That's what it's there for. Industrible. Because -1/-1 counters does not care. Now, Chandra's Spitfire. This right here is a case in point. I don't think, and I know this is a very controversial thing, in our format, I don't think bad cards exist. Yes, there are cards that are definitively less than other cards. However, I never thought that I would be sitting here and be excited about Chandra's Spitfire. It's a 1/3 flying body. And every time you activate your commander and hit a player, it gets +3. This can get ridiculous big fast. Now, Lord of Shatterskull Pass, I'm using as more of a removal spell than I am. I'm going to have to get the right angle here because this glare down here bothers the crap out of me. It's more removal because it's 6 damage to each creature. And yes, the Heartstone will reduce that level up, and we have a ton of mana. What sucks about the level up things, and we all know it, Sarge, everybody plays with the blue Sarge, but the reason why we don't normally play them is because you cast them and you invest all this mana, and then they get murked. And here, I mean, you've invested like 15 mana or something. I think it's 16 with this one, but anyway. Shiv and Dragon, we need another flying body, and we've got red mana to spare in this deck, apparently. Now, Bosch can help close out the deal. If you get closing, you can just start throwing artifacts. By the way, Bosch can throw himself. I guess that would be a jump instead of a throw. Yay, jump. Now, Goblin Goliath, I'm not sure if y'all are familiar with the Game Night box that just came out this week. To be honest with you, hadn't heard about it. This is what it looks like. It's a 5-player deal. It comes out, or it came out, and yeah, I mean, it's pretty neat, but there are 5 unique cards in it that have never been printed before. And maybe if I get down and angle up, yes, maybe that's a little better. There are 5 unique cards in it. There's 5 decks in it, 1 per each color. They are labeled as mythic, And they all kind of have a common thread. They all say uh, the phrase number of opponents you have. And this one I thought was really neat. But for the second ability here, it protects me from myself because I'm not responsible enough to use things like Furnace of Wrath, because I'm invariably always going to play it and then somebody's just going to steamroll move my own card. But this protects me from myself, and it only works for me, and I can activate it. And, Hearthstone helps a little bit there too. And I think that's better. We're getting there, aren't we? I'll learn. I got to relearn my angle shooting now, since my weird lighting is off. Yeah. Card draw wise, I've got the Desert of the Fervent and the Forgotten Cave and the Sanitarium. Now, these are just about have to, because red needs some card draw. And here we go. We have red gets conditional card draw. We have Cathartic Reunion, Faithless Looting, Tormenting Voice, and Winds of Change. All pretty much just a version of trading out cards. Cards you don't want for, blind cards. I like Winds of Change. It does affect everybody, but I've got Magma Jet in this category. Even the computer don't think about it. It's fuzzing out. Now, if Scry 2 wasn't on there, none of us would play this card. Scry 2 is what makes it, and we all know it. And it's kind of like card draw-ish, but not really. That's why it's in there. The Sandstone Oracle, of course, every pod's going to have that blue player that, is sitting on top of a Vincer's Journal with 30 cards in hand or whatever. Sandstone Oracle helps out. Now, Urza's Blueprints. Yes, I know it's 6 mana, you got to pay twice. But I just don't foresee that being a problem with this deck because of all of the artifact mana that we have got. Book of Wrath. Now, here again, there may be better versions out there, but I think this is, what is this, deck number 364? This is the first deck I've ever put a Book of Wrath in. And it ain't great, but it ain't terrible either. 2 mana, 2 life, 1 card. It's better than not having it, I guess. Now, let's look at, what do you want to do? Weirdness or removal? Here, let's do some removal. Why just set one thing on fire? There's a lot of sweepers here. I tried to keep them underneath Kumano's 4/4 so that Kumano wouldn't die. Of course, Comet Storm is great when you have just a ton of mana. Rack and Ruin, hitting 2 artifacts at instant speed. Beacon of Destruction. Love the fact that that just shuffles back in. Red Elemental Blast and Pyroblast. Y'all know exactly why those are in there. Because Danny plays Rifts, that's why. Whip Flare is a non-artifact Pyroclasm, which I really kind of like. This is kind of what made me lean toward the Mirror. Of course, we have Rough and Tumble. Now, I like Rough and Tumble. It's 2 to everything on the ground or 6 to everything in the air. So it's kind of whatever you need. How many times you played Cinder Cloud? Right? There aren't that many red cards that just say destroy target creature. Yeah, they get hosed if it's white. But you know what? It still says destroy target creature. Now, if this were black, murder costs 3. Colorless specific. So we're paying 2 more generic mana for the to hose the White Claws and the fact that this is red. I think it's worth it. I really do. Ratchet Bomb, because tokens are a problem. And, I mean, a lot of things are a problem, but with Ratchet Bomb, you can just spend the 2 mana and pop it right in and kill all the tokens because it has 0 counters on it. Now, Glaring Spotlight is going to help the get rid of all the hexproof so that Kumano can target and or exile them. Wild Ricochet. It's an awful lot like a red counter spell. It's like, no, I think you're going to do this, and then I'll do it again. Overblaze is so that we can, I mean, it's obvious we're going to overblaze Kumano, so 1 becomes 2, and hopefully we got the things that the 2 becomes the 4, and then you see where we're going with this. The Ley Line of Punishment, we've got to have the ley line, because gaining life can be a problem. If we don't have our infect thing, yeah, I'm using sophisticated terms, then they can't gain a life, and we don't want damage to be prevented. Now, Radiate, not the ability from original Ravnica, but just Radiate here. And this is a lot like a red counterspell too, although you're holding up 5 mana. Here again, I don't think that's a problem in this particular deck. But the beautiful part here is, remember that murder we were talking about? If somebody's going to murder your dude, how about you're going to murder everything? You're going to Sword to Plowshare every creature. If I'm going down and taking the whole team with me, if my artifact's going, or my creature or whatever, yeah, Radiate. Or all of those target player draws 3 cards. Sub dog, I think everybody needs that. Now, Weakstone is another card I haven't put in any other deck, I don't think. Just all attacking creatures. We don't have a whole lot of creatures, and we're banking on being able to kill all the creatures all the time. Well, that's just most of the time not feasible. So I did this to pretty much, slow the bleeding, I guess. And like, there are tons of other cards. There's a Gauntlet of Power that would be in here. Hell, a Gauntlet of Might would be awesome, but that's a little above my pay grade. And things like the Weakstone and the Contagion class here. I've got the Contagion class just simply because we do have the Infect thing in there. And this month, for the month of November, our play group is playing the rule of all creatures have Wither. I'm still working on my rule. I don't know when it's going to be my turn to make the rule, but we're working on this D20 dice, and I've got 14 items, so I need to come up with 6 more items. So if y'all have got any more suggestions, I'm open. But anyway, Magma Mine. What? With tons of mana, and I mean, it's one of those things that at the end of the turn before, I'm just going to dump all my mana into it, and we're just going to keep doing it. And, it's a pressure counter, so we can proliferate that. And we're just going to, keep doing it, and then eventually throw it at somebody. Let's look at our non-basic land, since that's a thing that we do now. Terrain Generator. It's just a good land. And in red, it's about one of the only ways to get extra lands into play. We don't really have access to the Rampant Growth and the Eve Edges, even though we're not supposed to. Speaking of cards we're not supposed to play, Temple Garden. The Gitu encampment can turn into a somewhat decent blocker. The Buried Ruin is going to get back our whatever artifact that we need, more than likely Heartstone or the Death Touch equipment. Rogue's Passage, because y'all know me, and I play with it. And our last card is Isolated Watchtower. Now, I love the Isolated Watchtower in mono red, because there again, you can. What are we? Let's see. If a basic land card is revealed, and we're running what, 30 of them? I don't know. The list is on Tapped Out, so I can't quite remember since I've had so much trouble. By the way, I haven't gotten this far the other 5 times I've done the video, so it looks like replacing everything worked. Oh, it's been a long day. I've been fighting this all day. But I do appreciate y'all. I appreciate you watching. And we're going to keep on going. I can't think of anything else. Chris Manus. I want to shout out to Chris Manus. He's my newest Patreon, or patron, I guess, through Patreon. I appreciate you very much, Chris. You guys, it does mean a lot to me. I never would have thought that when I started this a couple of years ago that people would have even cared. I was more or less just doing this to fill my time, but it means a lot to me. And 364, still got a ways to go because it's close to 800. So I'm probably getting close to halfway. But that being said, I think it's time to shuffle and cut.